Rainbows coming together here. And you don't have to do a big platter of this. You could do this with one small row for your kids for breakfast, genuinely, and it makes the morning a lot more fun.
2 minutes ago, a new production listing appeared in Los Angeles Trade Circle. Just another entertainment headline, unnoticed by many. But for those who have followed the royal saga, it marks another chapter in Meghan Markle's ever-evolving story. It's been years since she stepped away from palace life, yet somehow her name still carries both admiration and controversy. The actress who became a duchess, and then something even more complex, a global symbol of reinvention. Behind the headlines and the sound bites, there lies a deeper question. When Meghan Markle walked away from the monarchy, what exactly did she take with her, and what parts of herself did she leave behind? In the beginning, the world seemed to embrace her story like a modern fairy tale. The actress from California who fell in love with a prince, the wedding watched by millions, the carriage, the vows, the promise of a new era for the crown.
Harry and Meghan, the vows you are about to take are to be made in the presence of God, who is judge of all and knows all the secrets of our hearts.
It was history in motion, the first biracial woman to marry into the modern British monarchy. The symbolism was profound, the hope was immense, but beneath the polished surface, something fragile was already cracking. The royal institution, bound by centuries of ritual, met the energy of an American woman raised on independence and activism. Meghan spoke openly, smiled freely, and treated hierarchy as a formality rather than destiny. What charmed the public at first unsettled the palace. Her confidence was read as challenge, her compassion as disruption, and what might have been refreshing quickly became reframed as rebellion. Small moments became scandals. The color of nail polish, the placement of a hand on her baby bump, the decision to speak without royal approval. It wasn't open hostility at first, just a subtle tightening of control. Then the headlines came, then the criticism, then the silence. For Meghan, it was like living in a story that no longer belonged to her. Friends later revealed that she often described the experience as losing my own voice. She had been a communicator, a writer, an activist long before she met Harry, but inside the palace, those instincts were seen as interference. One aide recalled that she once drafted her own speech for an event on women's education, a topic she had championed for years, only to have it rewritten entirely by royal staff. Another described the discomfort she felt at having her charitable initiatives folded quietly under broader royal branding, with no acknowledgement of her independent work. She wasn't trying to outshine anyone, a former colleague said. She just wanted to be heard. The tension grew as her visibility expanded. For every warm headline about her humanitarian causes came a dozen more dissecting her wardrobe, her expressions, her supposed ambitions. And through it all, the palace maintained its rule. Never explain, never complain. But silence has a cost, especially for someone who built her life on authenticity. By the time the couple announced their decision to step back in 2020, the move was less rebellion than survival. Insiders recall that Meghan's decision came after a long series of quiet attempts to adapt and repeated reminders that she could not change the system she had joined. She realized she couldn't breathe inside those walls, said a friend close to her. She didn't just want freedom, she needed it. When she and Harry left, they took more than their titles. They took their story back. For Meghan, the departure wasn't a retreat, it was a reclamation. She had entered the monarchy as an actress, stepping into a role. She left as a woman, rewriting her own script. Hollywood, in many ways, became the mirror she needed. A world where narrative was currency and reinvention was survival. She and Harry signed with global media companies, produced documentaries, and began telling stories on their own terms. Some saw it as ambition, others saw it as self-expression. But to Meghan, it was restoration, a return to the power of choosing how she is seen. The series Harry and Meghan pulled back the curtain, exposing the human cost of royal life.
It's really hard to look back on it now and go, what on earth happened?
You hear that? That is the sound of hearts breaking all around the world.
She's becoming a royal rock star.
And then
Everything changed.
Critics called it calculated. Supporters called it necessary. But it revealed something undeniable. Meghan's experience wasn't just a royal drama. It was a study in the limits of belonging. And beneath every polished statement, every composed interview, there was still the woman who once said, "I just want people to know the truth." Yet freedom came with its own complications. Hollywood is not a refuge, it's another stage. And for Meghan, the challenge shifted from surviving scrutiny to shaping legacy. The couple's projects drew mixed reviews. The media continued to question motive. The public's fascination remained intense but divided. Still, behind the scenes, Meghan persisted in building a quieter foundation. Women's leadership initiatives, mental health advocacy, and a slow return to creative production. She began curating her life again, piece by piece, on her terms. Observers noted how her California lifestyle, garden meetings, wellness talks, small intimate gatherings, contrasted starkly with the royal protocols she had once endured. One former colleague put it simply, she's building peace in places that used to demand performance. But even now, the shadow of her royal years follows her. Every public move becomes another test, every silence another statement. And perhaps that's what she took with her, not secrets of state or whispered scandals, but something far more profound, the knowledge of how stories are shaped and how easily they can be lost. When Meghan speaks now, there's a deliberateness to her tone, calm, precise, measured. She no longer reacts, she reframes. At a recent summit on gender equality, she spoke of redefining how we see strength, her words echoing her own life. "You can stand tall," she said, "and still walk away." That sentence captured what years of public commentary often missed. Her departure wasn't a collapse, it was a boundary. And that boundary, between personal truth and institutional control, became her revolution. Inside Meghan Markle's mind lies a story that few truly understand. The constant tension between visibility and vulnerability, between voice and silence. For some, she remains divisive, too outspoken, too controlled, too political. For others, she represents something deeply human, the courage to leave when staying means losing yourself. Hollywood has given her space, but not escape. The scrutiny continues, the cameras remain. Yet now she decides when to look into the lens. Those who've met her recently describe a woman far more grounded than the headlines suggest. A mother first, a creative second, and an activist always. One producer noted, she's not chasing spotlight anymore. She's chasing alignment, and perhaps that's what transformation looks like. Not reinvention, but reclamation. In moments of reflection, Meghan has hinted at the toll that silence once took. During her widely watched interview in 2021, she spoke about the pain of feeling unseen and unheard. "I just didn't want to be alive anymore," she admitted. A raw human confession that cut through the polished facade of royal life. It was one of the few times the public saw past the headlines into her inner world, the cost of composure. Since then, she has become an advocate for mental health, not through slogans, but through lived experience. The cause isn't abstract, it's personal. Each appearance, each project, each word she chooses now carries a trace of that journey, from isolation to intention. So what are the secrets she took to Hollywood? Not gossip or palace intrigue, not grudges or revelations. She took understanding. The understanding that image can define identity, unless you define it first. That silence protects power, but truth protects peace. She learned that the same story that nearly broke her could also set her free if she learned how to tell it differently, and she has. Today, Meghan Markle's story is no longer about escape, it's about evolution. She may never be the royal the palace imagined, but she has become something rarer. A woman who transformed her own narrative while the world watched. The monarchy taught her control, Hollywood gave her clarity, and between the two, she built something lasting, her own version of sovereignty. Because for Meghan, the crown was never the prize, it was the lesson. And perhaps that's what she'll be remembered for. Not the wedding, not the headlines, but the courage to stop performing the part and start living the truth. What do you think defines freedom, Nim? The power to leave or the wisdom to know when to?